Have you or a loved one been charged or accused of a crime? If so, the stress can leave anyone feeling helpless and alone. But you don't have to be alone. Hi, I'm Dave Maldonado, and I've successfully defended Montanans for over a decade in these situations. So if you're tired of being scared, let's get you prepared. To see how, visit BigSkyDefender.com today.
You are not alone. Visit BigSkyDefender.com to find out more on how you can fight back against local and federal criminal charges.
All right, Coach. Get the split on the road. I know didn't want to let that first one slip away, but what do you think of the team's response at NEU?
You know, we were pretty upset. I was pretty upset after the second half. We played pretty good in the first half, and then just it's so hard to fight complacency and just relax. Then the second half we came out and we watched the film, and as bad as you'd think it is, it's one of the worst played halves since I've been here, to be honest. And so I think it was a wake-up call, though. I think you need those sometimes to wake up and be like, okay, you cannot, these teams, I think understanding the history of this program was important for us too. They celebrated after that win a lot. And so our kids are like, whoa, this meant a lot. And I'm like, yeah, to beat the Lady Griz, it means a lot because of the 24 conference titles that are sitting up in this gym. And so I think that understanding helped us. And we watched the film and they saw how bad it was. And so it motivated us to come out and play different against NAU.
Do you approach this week as it's just another week of Big Sky, or is it like the week, you know?
Yeah, it means more. There's no question. I don't try to work my way around it. There's more motivation from them. There's more motivation from the staff, just because it is a rivalry game. I've been a part of lots of them over my career, and they're all special and they're all great. And so, I mean, I think it's less kind of rah-rah and motivating them and more like just do your jobs kind of thing. But yeah, it's a bigger week for us, no question.
When it comes to having a couple extra days to prepare, how do you use those?
Yeah, we're going to rest, to be honest. We're going to rest with the Summit League Challenge thrown in there and all these things. We've obviously we've been on the road already for 3 games already. So this will be our 4th straight road game. And then we have another one after that, obviously. So just for us, just trying to keep it as normal as possible, trying to rest up, make sure that mentally and physically we're ready to go is probably the most important thing at this time of the year. We'll go hard today and rest up and start preparing later.
Where do you think you guys are at in terms of finding your full potential?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we have a long ways to go still. I honestly think that we have a lot of improvement. We're continuing to get better in a lot of ways and take steps back here and there that we got to be more consistent. And it's about doing your job, you know. It's funny, you look at Bill Belichick and all the stuff that went on, and he's so right on when he says just do your job. It's like throughout sports, if everybody can do your job, you're going to be successful. And so we're focused a lot on that on both sides of the ball.
They are such a different team than they were a year ago. Then they got hit with all the injuries, so they're even more different. So what's it like kind of game plan for this MSU team?
Yeah, you know, Trish does a great job, and I've known her for a long time. They're going to be feisty. They're going to be tough. They're going to play hard on defense. They're going to switch. They're going to do what they do, and they do it. And she gets them to play really hard. And so these games are always interesting too, because sometimes you can throw out the things that have happened in the past because it's a rivalry game. And so there'll be more people, there'll be a lot of things going on. And so, you know, for us, yes, do they look different? No question. We all got injuries. I mean, I know Lori was talking after the game about how her kid went down. I'm like, well, we got 3 kids here with ACLs that would help us a lot right now. So we all have injuries. It's just part of it. Thankfully, we're deep, and I feel bad for them. You never want to see people get hurt. I hate that for all the teams, right? But you fight through it, and you're trying to go win each game.
You guys won 8 of the last 9, and aside from the Northern Colorado game, what's in your mind working the best? It seems like defense has been getting a little bit better, but what's maybe been on this trajectory that's been helping you guys so much?
Yeah, I think our point guard play continues to be very important, and so you know, for us, when they're aggressive and they're not hesitant and they're playing the right ways, our team's better in general, and so we got to continue to work on the defensive stuff, continue to make it hard for people to score, and then continue our offensive. Our ability to score is pretty exceptional when we play the right way.
I know you talked about Gina before, but I want to ask you again, just her ability to come off the bench like she has, but also control the team like she does when she's in the game. How important is that?
Oh, it's gigantic. I'm like, I wish I had her longer. I mean, to have, you know, Macy Hewitt too has come in and given a scoring punch every game. I mean, she's scoring 9 to 12 points every game. That's a big deal off the bench. And then for Gina to, you know, you have Mac, who obviously had an exceptional game the other night, but you know, anytime somebody's not playing well, you have another person to go in that you can rely on. That's, as a coach, it's a huge luxury.
What would it mean to break through get a win in Bozeman because it's been a
Yeah,
while.
it's always good. Are you kidding? It's just we want to win. There's no question. They want to win. They don't want us to win. And so, yeah, I mean, the history of it, obviously I've been here for 2 years, and so it's been two games over there that have been tough for us. We haven't, the first year I found out real fast how much the past had mattered, and then last year they kind of took it to us. We kind of scored at the end there to make it close, but it's a mental thing for us in our program. We have a lot of new kids that I don't even think really know, to be honest, and so do they. And so it's kind of a different feel now than it was the last 2 years.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road, pump it up. Oh, yeah.
In your experience, what's it like? What's the atmosphere like when Lady Griz come to Bozeman?
It's harsh. My family came last year, and they were not treated very well, to be honest. And so it's a nasty. It's tough. They get after you. They're going to yell things that other places don't necessarily yell, and they're going to yell at your family, and that's the beauty of it in some ways. I'm a competitor. I get it. I hope our fans don't act like that, to be honest. But it was last year was an eye opener, I think. And hey, we're going into a harsh environment. The best thing to do is just play well.
And for the newcomers on the team, do you prepare them at all for that kind of atmosphere? Do you say, hey, these guys can be harsh or anything like that?
You know what? No, not really. We have a bunch of people who've played against big games. Talking to Maggie Espin-Miller-McGraw, she's played at Iowa, and Iowa State is a pretty big deal. Even MJ has played in Portland. Gonzaga is nasty and get after it kind of thing. And so a lot of people have played in these kind of things, and all our kids here have been a part of it. And it's what makes it fun. I mean, it's the same reason why football is fun. It's the same reason why every one of these games. It would be sad if we didn't have a game like this where I've come from.
More specifically to Maggie, just can you walk us through how you found her and just seeing her impact, because she's dealt with injuries in the past, but she's been healthy and been able to play well for you guys. What's it been like having her here, and how'd you find her? Because Iowa's not close by any means. We don't have a lot of kids here.
Healthy, so to speak. We're still she's old. She's dealing with nagging things, but she was roommates with Lexi Donarski, who's now at North Carolina, who's obviously the sister of Macy Donarski. And so when she went into the portal, the dad, who have a really good relationship with Macy's dad, he called me and was like, hey, this kid can really shoot it. She's a great kid. They were roommates, and so that was really the connection that started it. And then from there, she was recruited by a lot of people, but she really just wanted a new experience. She wanted something different, so she looked at the beach and she looked at the mountains, and we were in the mountains, and so from there, she decided pretty quickly that this is where she wanted to be.
Just her impact, just speak to that. Just her shooting ability has obviously been huge, and she's been consistent. I feel like. So what's it been like having her, because she's new but also a veteran at the same time?
Yeah, she's great. I mean, she's sometimes when you have transfers, you never know how they fit within your culture, and I think for her, she's just embraced how we do things. Really likes it, loves our team, loves how we do things, and so that combined with the fact that she can really shoot obviously helps. She's actually a really good decision maker too. She really can pass the ball better than I actually thought. We're still working on the defense, as she knows, but yeah, the scoring ability is there. I mean, you can't leave her. She's a threat all the time. If you leave her, she can make it, and that's a luxury to have. Obviously at NAU, we go and make 14 threes, and she starts us off with 2 right off the bat, boom, boom. And every time somebody makes a shot like that, it just gives everybody else confidence. And so she's been an awesome addition. We absolutely love her.
With all the new faces for Montana State, do you notice anything they're doing differently offensively or defensively, or is it similar stuff?
Very similar in a lot of ways. Not a lot of change. Obviously, they have the pick and pop kids that can shoot the three, kind of Carmen-ish, very similar. They got a bunch of young kids who are aggressive and young, and we have some young kids who I feel the same thing. It's like Macy's very talented, Adria is very talented, and they're coming along, but freshmen are freshmen, and so you're dealing with some experience. Obviously, Madison, it's not Jackson anymore, but Madison Hall. Yeah, she's a very experienced kid. They got late, and that's been a huge plus for them because she has some experience. Experience matters in these types of situations, and so Lamardo, she can really shoot the three. You got to guard him. There's not a lot different they've thrown in a little bit more zone than they have in the past, which is, that's something we'll have to be prepared for.
Any particular keys or what are the keys, I guess, for you guys in Bozeman?
Yeah, for us just to play right. When we play right, you have a game like we did against NAU, and when we're playing, focusing in the right ways. And then when you don't, you have a second half like you played against Northern Colorado. There will obviously the motivation will be there against these guys just because it's a rival. But yeah, I think just doing what we do more or less, shoot the three, be aggressive, space the floor, and take what the defense gives you more or less. Don't overthink it. Sometimes when we overthink, that becomes a problem because we are a free-flowing, let it fly kind of offense, and that's fun as long as you're doing those things.
Well, around the Big Sky women's hoops, and now we have a big rivalry game on the horizon coming up in Bozeman. Actually, two of them, one at 2 o'clock, one at 7 o'clock. The women play in the opening game, and then the men play in the night game there as Montana State take the court. We're joined now by Montana State head women's basketball coach, Tricia Binford. Coach, haven't talked to you in a little while. How you doing?
We're doing good. How are you doing, Colter?
Very good. First of all, I got a couple Brad questions for you before we get into this rivalry game. It's interesting to see, Crystal Redpath and I have been talking about just sort of the evolution of the league, and you look around and there's so much that's either relatively or brand new, especially when it comes to the coaches. I mean, pretty much every program in the league has a coach that's been there for 3 years or less. It's only you and Seton Sobolewski at Idaho State and Lori Payne at NAU that have been there for more than just a couple of years. So, how do you think that just sort of influences the complexion of the league?
Well, you've got to really do your due diligence on scouting reports. Typically when you know the league and coaches and what they roll to out of a timeout, that sort of thing, you got to feel it. Now you just have to have a really good understanding. So there's a lot of learning on everybody on both sides of that.
How do you think it's changed? Do you think stylistically the Big Sky's changed much in the last couple of years, or is it pretty similar?
I feel like there's a lot of style changes. I think the Big Sky is showing that it can compete with any league. The Summit League was a great challenge, but even in the preseason, some of those Northwest conferences, I thought we represented ourselves very well. So I just think, the transfer portal is a new ball game that influences and impacts as well. You just got to continue to evolve your programs.
You definitely saw that. I mean, in the non-conference, the Big Sky had all sorts of wins over Mountain West teams and West Coast Conference teams. So, do you think that's sort of a testament to the strength of the league?
I think it's going to really help with net ratings. I just think there's a lot of positives to it. You want to have your impact kind of nationally on a national scale. And, some of those preseason tournaments that you all do and you're hitting East Coast and Northwest and Midwest, I'm like, those things will impact later on when you're looking at seeding and that sort of thing. So I think those are really important. But overall, I think this league also has really where we're getting coaches in. I think there's some really good influence there also. So I think it's on the rise for sure.
When it comes to what's different about your team, tell us about that, because you had sort of this stalwart point guard in Darian White, and it's been fun to watch you guys evolve, though. You got a lot of young players that are playing a lot of good minutes, but what's it been like? After you have a 4-year starter at point guard, I'm sure it's a huge transition, but you guys have seemed to handle it pretty well.
I'll tell you, Colter, we've had the adversity of trials at the highest level this year, and it's been one of my most fun years of coaching. I will say we're evolving every week because literally each week it's been, unfortunately for us, somebody has either been out or in, so adjusting to who is available to compete and play for us. I've not seen anything like that. Last week we were trying some kids at different positions because we were so low in our post rotation, but I will tell you, like, everything we have thrown at these kids, they've responded to, and they have been battling to the very end. So I'm extremely proud of this group. I think there's a lot of fight. I think there's a lot of resolve. Defensively, this team has been at times as good as any team I've coached. The offense has taken a little bit longer. But yeah, we last week when we looked at our bench, we had 6 freshmen and 3 seniors, and every single one of these freshmen are getting really quality minutes right now. We plan to have redshirted both Ella Johnson and Leah Boolinger, and we pulled Ella out of redshirt when we found out about Lexi, and then at the time both Lexi and Drea were unavailable. We pulled Ella out of redshirt, and then after kind of last weekend, we pulled Leia out of redshirt. So they are all available. Every kid has, stepped up to, what was needed and what is needed, and we still have a lot of work to do, but it's been a lot of fun.
We're on the Big Sky Women's Hoops. Tricia Binford joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Montana State hosts Montana on Saturday afternoon. Let's talk about the Lady Griz then. They've been very prolific offensively. What do you see when you turn on the film?
Well, I see they've added some depth as well. I don't feel like they lose a beat in rotation. You've got 2 point guards that could start for a lot of different teams coming in, and Gina Markson's super familiar with the league. And then obviously you have freshman of the year. Well, obviously the interior presence of Carmen G. Feller. You've got Dani Bartsch, who's their energy kid that's all over the glass. And then they've added a lot of pieces that can really score. So we know that it's going to be a 40-minute defensive assignment. There's not going to be a possession where we can slack off because they're all capable. And we got to play off this home crowd.
They get so much off of just driving into the paint and then kicking out. And I mean, if Bartsch is shooting it and G. Feller is shooting it, that's a lot of shooters. So how do you go about stemming that challenge defensively?
Yeah, I think it's more, if they hit some shots, we want to make sure those are contested shots. We want to make sure those aren't rhythm shots. The 3-ball has not been a great friend to us this last week on the road, so we're going to have to do a much better job getting out to the shooters and being there on time. And, there's times where they're firing on all cylinders from everywhere. So it's once again, I'm like, they're going to hit some shots. We just got to make sure that they're the right shots that we're allowing to take, and then we get out and run.
And the other individual I wanted to ask you about, it's so funny, when she hit the game winner against Idaho State and I was reading Tom's release, I was like, who's Madison Hall? I was like, I totally missed this. Who is this player? And I was like, oh, it's Madison Jackson. Of course, she just got married, and so she has a new last name. But it just seems like her return has been awesome for you from just a stability standpoint. And I loved your quote where you said, in terms of playing within yourself and knowing your strengths, she's doing it as well as anybody you've ever coached. So coming into a game like this where it's going to be a lot of hype leading up, and then you have a huge environment there in Bozeman, and you have all these people, and there's just so much around it. How much does having sort of a stable leader like that help you?
Yeah, it's been amazing, Colter, and it's been so much fun to see her shine too, because she's always been the kid that's made everybody else shine throughout her career. She's been that very selfless kid that's had the role of coming off the bench, sometimes starting, just being every single thing that's been needed. And when we started off with her being a student assistant, for where she was at in life, and all of a sudden she's killing us in practices and on the scout team, and all of a sudden we're end of October and she's getting in uniform. So crazy story, amazing story. She didn't want to honor Darian with the number that she's wearing. Her previous number, Brooke Berry's dad had worn that number for MSU, and so Brooke had taken that number, and that was the first thing she brought up when we were even talking about the possibility. She's like, well, I don't want Brooke's number. This one's really important to her. And she's just that kid, and she's the kid on film that you're like, this is what it looks like. And she's so reliable. She's so consistent. She's such a great leader of example. I think she and the senior class, there's the gap of age, but they're so close. It's like they're younger sisters, like how they've brought a Natalie Picton along when Dylan Phillip was supposed to be our starting point guard. And now Natalie is how many games in starting for us as a freshman and just killing it, So there's so many things about these pieces with just upperclassmen, grabbing the underclassmen along the way. But this is a game where you definitely rely on your senior class. They've been in these moments. They know what it feels like. They know the energy about it. And they're the ones that help you prepare for it. You understand, this game, the excitement for the community.
Tricia Binford here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Last thing for you then, Coach. What are some of the keys for you guys on Saturday afternoon against the Lady Griz?
Well, we always start with we have to be really consistent of who we are defensively. This is a very, very good offensive team coming in. And at the same time, they're defending very well. They mix in some things on the defensive end, and we can't have any lulls on our offensive side. And that's, for us, been kind of the culprit. And we've got to have some consistent quarters for us offensively to keep this game in a really good place for us. We've got to put both ends on the floor.
There you go, Tricia Binford here on Around the Big Sky and Women's Hoops. Montana State hosts Montana on Saturday afternoon. Coach, appreciate the time. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Well, we'll see if we talk to you. We might not be seeing you. Hey, all the best, okay? We're thinking of you.
Thanks so much.
All right, Dani, what is this week like for you?
I mean, it's huge growing up in Montana. We haven't won there yet since I've, we haven't won there yet. Have we? That's crazy. I mean, definitely on the goal here. I feel like this year we're most capable out of the years we have in the past. I mean, granted, we are down some injuries. They're down a lot of injuries too, but the goal doesn't change as much as emotion this comes with this game. You gotta, make sure it's good emotion. You can't let the fear and the doubt of the previous games and losing, can't let that impact it going forward. It's a new game, new team, but my family, I don't even know how to explain it. It's definitely one of the most important games on the schedule. It's the most talked about. All my family can be there, and I've got some family that's from Bozeman, and my aunt played for the Cats too, so extra pressure there to win just because they're Cat fans. But I want to represent the University of Montana in the best way possible there.
Yeah, I mean, home court has been such a thing in this rivalry with you guys. Why is that, you think?
I think just our crowd in general. I mean, we get a lot of people over there too, but it's just not quite like it. The Fieldhouse is way different to play in than the arena, and I just think it's less comfortable, less at home. I mean, the crowd here, people that sit behind our bench every game, they get us going. I mean, it's just extra impact here, I feel like.
What's it like shooting in that gym? Because it's a lot different than a lot of the other gyms in the conference.
Yeah, I hate it personally. I mean, I remember last year I was like, God, the shots just feel good, and I was like 1 for 5. I think I had an air ball once. I hate it, but I mean, you gotta just get over it. Mental, just get up as many shots as you can possible. Then at the end of the day, it's the same distance as the gym here. You just gotta tell yourself that. Trust it's gonna go in.
Dani, earlier this year, you played in front of 6,000 screaming children. What would you say is more intense, all those screaming children at you or the Bobcats fans?
I would say the Bobcats, their band and student section get into it pretty much. I mean, the kids were probably louder most definitely, but it's just super high pitch at all times. I mean, it's not like they're screaming "you suck" or something at you, but I mean, yeah. So I would say the Cats definitely. They get in your head a lot more.
Where do you think you guys are at right now just as a team in terms of finding your potential?
We're still struggling with starting out second halves. That's a big thing we're talking as a team, especially after UNC. I mean, that's up 12 and we just blow it. And our offense wasn't necessarily going, but we can't give up 26 points. It's 2 more points than we gave up in a whole half in one quarter. That just can't happen. And so we are figuring out ways to help us improve, and that will help us big time. But growing every day, definitely, and still hoping to be our best come March.
When it comes to the defensive stuff, how much of it is just communication, learning how to play together?
I'd say a lot of that. It's just playing through fatigue. I mean, yeah, when you get tired, you can't focus on being tired. You got to stick to the personnel, knowing it, understanding it, trusting what the coaches say, even if it, you're going to have to take 4 more steps to do it. But if you go under that screen, number 10 is going to step back and shoot it in your face. And that happened a few times. 12 got one on me. I mean, it's just, it's knowing personnel is a big thing too, and just staying disciplined no matter what, and not getting foggy-minded, I guess, on defense.
What would it mean to you guys to go in there and get that win that's been elusive there?
I feel like it's a huge momentum boost for every team going forward. like I remember our freshman year when we lost there, Brian was like, I feel like there's so much fear, like you guys don't even know. Like you don't go there and all you've done is lose. You don't expect to win. And like that's a big issue. You can't go into a game and expect to lose, otherwise you're already 2 steps behind the other team, you know? And so a big thing is having the belief that you can win and understanding what it takes. And like, yes, it will be harder because it is there, but this team is so capable of it and gives confidence to the teams going forward. Like, yeah, they did it, we can do it too.
Schulte Law Firm, legal tip of the day: never consent to a search. Always inform law enforcement that they need to procure a warrant if they want to search your vehicle or your residence. One exception, if you are at the border.
When it comes to a personnel evaluation, they have so many new players. Do you see some familiarity, and is it also different since they have so many new girls in the rotation?
Yeah, I don't know half their team. Like, I don't know anything about them yet, not that much. I've watched a few of their games. I know that their post-shoot pick and pop a lot. Jansen, she is good from the 3-point line. Got to guard her. Lombardo, 3-point. She's become a lot more of a driver this year because she's had to take shots. Madison Hall is her last name now. She's been playing great for them, but so like can't just because they're down on people, it can't overlook them. They've had young players step up huge in other games. I mean, at the end of the level, they're still a good D1 team winning games, and they find ways to win. Binford's a great coach, and yeah, that's a competitive team that we can't take for granted at all.
Do you have any memories of watching Cat-Griz growing up as a kid?
Yeah, it was a big deal. I remember just getting decked out in Griz gear. My dad has this hat that has like the fake hair, maroon and silver hair coming out of it that we just turn it on as a family. Then we have a family group chat too that, yes, as a kid, probably wasn't texting in, but now like every game, even my family group chat from my family from Bozeman, they always give crap, but it's all right. It's just fun family, rivalry.
In your experience playing there, do you feel like maybe the team, maybe they want this one just a little more than most of the other games?
Yeah, definitely. Just because it's in state. I mean, you want to be the best team in the state. It's kind of like football, any other. You just hate the Cats. It's just kind of, especially being a Griz family. It's kind of what I was always born to. I was get told you're not a Cats fan, and so, but it's something you look forward to. People talk to you a lot more about it, and it just means a little bit more. But at the end of the day, got to approach it just like any other game, prep it for any other game. Just can't let the emotions get too big that it overwhelms you.
If life has become overwhelming, crazy, and hectic, then now is the perfect time to try the healing powers of CBD. Greenhouse Pharmacy has a full CBD apothecary with the largest selection of whole plant, full spectrum CBD products in the state of Montana. Choose from high quality brands and products like tinctures, balms, coffees, and tea, edibles, and so much more. Plus, Greenhouse Pharmacy offers exclusive products such as relaxing bath bombs, soaking salts, pain patches, and lotions. Visit Greenhouse Pharmacy on 3rd Street across from the Good Food Store.
So Travis, just kind of walk us through this last week, right? The split series, but you guys had the 43-point win on Saturday, just carrying that momentum forward. You mentioned a lot of defense. Just how do you guys kind of do that going forward?
A little bit of a roller coaster. I think we saw Saturday how well we can play when we decide we want to defend. So still growing up, still getting better, still improving. Hopefully we can learn from some success on Saturday moving forward.
You guys have dealt with a little bit of injury, right, lately too, but how would you kind of evaluate where you guys are at 4 games into conference play?
A lot of injury. I think we're doing well. One of the upsides to our team this year going into the season was our depth. Didn't assume it would be challenged in this manner this early. And I think that it's showing that we had great depth at the beginning of the year. We're going to find out how deep we actually are. But we're putting the ball in the basket. We're scoring a ton of points, and so anytime you can score, you give yourself a puncher's chance.
I know after the game on Thursday, frustrated. What was the message like to the guys, especially to sort of inspire that defensive effort on Saturday?
Really just sustained effort. If the fatigue sets in a little bit for guys. You tend to rest on one end. I would prefer that be an offensive end if you have to do that. But the biggest thing for us really was just continue to do the things that were working that built the lead. And I think we just lost track a little bit and then didn't do that on Saturday. So hopefully we can put a couple games together with that same effort.
It's been, you guys have already scored 90 or more 5 times this year, something that this program hasn't done in about 30 years. What is it about this offense and the cohesion on that unit that allows you to have those explosive nights on offense? I know the defense is equally important, but as far as the offensive side, why is this team able to do that, as opposed to other teams we've had in the past?
Shot selection. The biggest thing for us is right now is we're turning down bad shots. The games that we have struggled offensively, we've taken bad shots. And if you really look at Thursday's loss, it came down to bad offensive possessions. Our defense should have been better, but we had 2 or 3 possessions consecutively with a 10-point lead. We just didn't even get a shot. And that's not us. That's not Grizzly basketball. So if we continue to move the ball, share the ball, we'll be fine offensively.
This game is obviously a big game, but your connection with Matt Logie is pretty special, right? So just what's it like kind of seeing him as a first time as a D1 head coach and just, the relationship you guys have built over the years?
Happy for him. Long time waiting. I think that he's kind of deserved this opportunity for a long time. And they present themselves when they do. You can't necessarily control that. So happy to see him at this level. Unfortunately, he's a rival now, so we now have a love-hate relationship instead of a love-love relationship.
Did his teams remind you of the teams you've seen in the past, Whitworth, Point Loma? Like, do they look similar? Do they look similar to what Sprinkle was doing? Just how would you evaluate what they've done?
In terms of his X's and O's and some of the things he's doing with his team, I can see some tendencies. Offensively, he finds ways to score the ball, regardless to who he has and what his personnel is. I think as he starts to build a roster, it may look different down the road. But with the guys that he has right now, I think he's really found a way for that team to be efficient offensively, and they're very competitive.
They have so many new faces. That's not uncommon, though, this day and age in Division I basketball. How's that go into the preparation, though? I mean, is it more complicated for your guys if there's not as many familiar faces in a game like this?
No, because I only scout the week of games.
Right. So
I would not have been watching them in August and those things. So for us, it's game by game. We go one game at a time. So it's a big deal at the beginning of the year when you're trying to predict who's going to finish where and preseason voting, all conference and things like that. But once they start playing games, scout to scout.
In the landscape of basketball right now, with so many teams maybe losing their rivalries because conferences are dissolving and changing, how has that made you appreciate this rivalry maybe even a little bit more as something that you guys do have, and it's a long-standing rivalry, one that of course you've known since your playing days?
A lot. I think it's a big deal in college athletics, and I hate to see that change. I watched that in some of the mid to lower Division I conferences on the East Coast, teams that were adding football and moving to other conferences and lose rivals. Now we're starting to see this at a high major level, and I really hate to see that disappear in college athletics. So hopefully some of these teams still maintain their rivalries even though they're not in the same conferences, but it's huge for us, especially if we have an opportunity to compete in standings.
What would you say the strengths are of this Montana State team?
Offensive weapon, man in the middle. Anytime you have someone that can demand teams, that can score at a high rate and create offense for himself, you're going to be tough to guard. And when you surround that with shooting, you become an efficient basketball team, especially with someone offensively minded like Coach Logie. So slowing them down is going to be difficult.
It was recently announced that Josh played more games than anybody else has as a Griz. Just your thoughts on what it's been like to coach him throughout his career here.
It's been great. One of my favorites of all time at every level. His loyalty to winning, his loyalty to a program, his loyalty to the people around him, his teammates, the community. Those things are hard to find nowadays. And so I think he exemplifies what college student athlete should look like, how they should act, how they should carry themselves, and what motivates them. And hopefully we can continue to bring more Josh Vasquez.
Deshaun has been another one of these seniors, right, who's kind of breaking out this year, and he's played well last year. So I guess what's he brought to the table, and where have you maybe seen him grow in his second year as well?
Consistency right now. I think he's always been a weapon offensively. I think that he's grown defensively. I think that the way he's rebounding the ball right now, just way more versatile than he has been earlier in his career. And I think the stats are saying that, but also the wins are coming in.
keys for you guys on Saturday? I guess, first of all, being familiar with the environment, you have a lot of returners. Does that help you in a game like this?
I think so. I think sometimes guys go into shock with the crowd when you don't see that as often, especially the vulgarity that comes with the game. Biggest thing for us, though, our key is just defense. Be the best defensive team on the floor. If we do that, will give us a chance.
And then just your appreciation for the rivalry personally, besides, we asked about the landscape of rivalries, but would you say it's changed at all during your time as a head coach, the longer you've been here and coached in this rivalry, and the fact that, they've won league the last couple of years and won the tournament, just like how much you appreciate an opponent and a rival like that you play twice a year?
No, nothing changes. They've had their years where they've won prior to me as a player, and way back. It took a long time for Montana to catch up in this rivalry. So I've always known how important it is and how far it goes back. So it's up to us to turn the tape.
Legal tip of the day. If you have contact with law enforcement, everything you say can be used against you. Be very polite, respect the badge, and simply say, "Please let me call my attorney, Dwight Schulte."
Well, it's time for our Montana State Minute, featuring Montana State first-year head men's basketball coach Matt Logie, headed into now first rivalry game against the University of Montana. It's in Bozeman, doubleheader, 7 p.m. tip for the men, 2 p.m. for the women. Coach, thanks for joining us, man. How you doing?
Doing well. Excited to be here, and appreciate you having me on.
First of all, I was talking about last weekend headed into this game. A nice sweep for you guys. I thought particularly you looked great against Northern Colorado on Saturday night. So just take us through it. I mean, what were the keys? What'd you like about what your team did? What'd you think of just your mental toughness to get that sweep, especially Saturday's effort?
Yeah, thanks. I thought our guys really responded well to the weekend prior. We got we got our teeth kicked in a little bit at South Dakota State and came back to campus and really just honed in on the details and wanted to kind of make sure that we were committed to the things that we needed to be committed to find success. And I thought our guys in both games, Thursday and Saturday, really showed a lot of growth on the defensive end of the floor in particular. And then just with their connection and competitiveness together, that really showed through on Saturday. I thought obviously Northern Colorado was playing great basketball, coming in on a real hot streak, and have a great point guard, a really talented scorer in St. Thomas. And so they put a lot of pressure on you. And I thought our guys withstood the pressure and executed well on offense to help us build a lead.
What sort of challenge is guarding a guy like St. Thomas? Because he's sort of I wouldn't say unique, but I mean, he's a pretty big mismatch, especially in the Big Sky Conference. But you guys did a good job. I know he still had 27 on you, but that's 10 less than he had on Thursday night. So, I mean, what sort of challenge is it to match up with a guy like that?
Yeah, it's a tough cover when you feel like as a coach you did a really good job on him, and then your 11-year-old son tells you that he went for 27 and how good he was, and I was feeling like we did a pretty good job. But obviously with a guy like that, it's about trying to limit the efficiency. I think he's not a guy that's gonna really be able to deny his shot attempts. So you're trying to make sure that you get great contests. That maybe you drive him into some areas of the floor that he's not as comfortable in. And I thought we did a good job of that at times. We lost him a couple times, and he makes you pay. He's a 3-level scorer and obviously a good athlete, and they run good actions. And so he's made a big impact for them, and certainly a tough cover for 40 minutes.
When it comes to just a team coalescing and coming together, what's that process like? And how do you like the way your team has been able to do that here the first half of this season?
Yeah, I think for us, the challenge has been just, trying to fast forward that timeline as much as possible because of the transition we went through last spring. Typically, you don't have, 9 new players on a roster in any given year, and you've got a little bit of carryover from concepts and things that you've been doing. And when you start new and it's year one, not only do you have the roster turnover and the trust that you've got to build with the players, but a whole new system and style of play that you're trying to design with your players' best interests in mind and putting them in positions to be successful. Certainly, our roster isn't designed with the same strengths and capabilities that last year's Montana State roster had, but that doesn't mean there's not other ways that we can be successful. And so that process is ongoing. I think our guys are starting to see, what it takes to win, within kind of our blueprint and our vision for the program. And I've been really proud of the way our guys have hung together in the midst of quite a bit of adversity this season. Obviously, Pat McMahon going down for the year might not be as impactful to the common fan, but for us that have been in the gym for 7 months together since I got the job, he was on track to have just a terrific season and a really impactful, important part of this team. And so we've had to adjust to a lot, throughout this year. And Eddie Turner, our point guard, broke his nose and missed a few games in non-conference play. And so it's just been really about hanging on and continuing to get better each day.
Matt Logie joining us here on Nuanez now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Maybe you're watching on our Skyline Sports MT YouTube channel. No matter how you're tuning in, appreciate you for being here. Montana State hosts Montana on Saturday at Brick Breedin Fieldhouse, 7 p.m. One guy I want to ask about several of your guys, but one guy who's sort of a familiar face and a guy that was a returner this year for Montana State's Robert Ford III. We're going to talk to him a little bit later on this week, but been so impressed with how his game has sort of evolved. We always knew he was a really fast guy that could guard on the ball and play on the ball offensively, but man, has he taken it to another level as a complete player, especially when it comes to rebounding. What have you liked about his growth? And I mean, when you have a point guard that can rebound like that, how much does that help you as a team?
Yeah, I mean, I think in Rob's case, he deserves all the credit in the world because he took on a big challenge in coming back here and putting that leadership hat on, and also changing his stripes a little bit in terms of a different style of play, different system, and different things that we were asking him to, impart into his game. And I think I've been really proud of the way he's committed to those things. You can see it reflected in his shooting percentages from both the field and from the three-point line. He really put a great summer of work in on the things that we teach, and it will be a tremendous success story, for future years and future Bobcats at what can be accomplished with kind of the fundamentals and the things that we are trying to put our players in position to succeed with. In regards to the rebounding, Rob is just a guy that has a knack for the basketball, and he doesn't really care if it's coming up the rim or if you're dribbling it or passing it. He's trying to get it. And we certainly needed it this year at times. Early in the season, we really lacked a little bite on the glass, and he helped kind of stem that tide. And now we're starting to really improve in that area. And having somebody at the point guard position that can fly in there and get those defensive rebounds in particular is really valuable, because a lot of times, your opposing point guards are getting back on defense. And so they kind of have a free run at it, and not a lot of guys are trained to do it as well as Rob, and it's a pretty natural thing for him.
Have you or a loved one been charged or accused of a crime? If so, the stress can leave anyone feeling helpless and alone. But you don't have to be alone. Hi, I'm Dave Maldonado, and I've successfully defended Montanans for over a decade in these situations. So if you're tired of being scared, let's get you prepared. To see how, visit BigSkyDefender.com today.
You are not alone. Visit BigSkyDefender.com to find out more on how you can fight back against local and federal criminal charges.
Another guy I wanted to ask you about this week, I'll ask you about guys moving forward, but Brian Garacki, he's really transitioned well. I know you coached him at Point Loma. He was a good scorer for you there, but he's been a great scorer this year at Montana State so far. Why has his scoring abilities been able to translate and maybe even take it up a notch like he has?
Well, I think the honest answer is that the jump that he's made was the natural jump he was going to make from last year to this year, no matter what jersey he had on. Certainly there are differences to levels, but there's also a lot of gray area in between levels as well. And, we were fortunate at Point Loma to be in a position where we were competing, for regional and national championships, and teams that are at that level, are very competitive in many ways to the Big Sky. And so I think the familiarity that he had with me and our staff and our system and our terminology, has allowed him to just kind of keep on the natural progression that I think as a player, he's been preparing for throughout his time in college. And I've been really happy for him to see that success come through.
Montana minute here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Matt Logie joining us. Let's talk about the game then, Coach. I know you go way back with Travis DeCuire. So tell us about that element. A guy you've known for a really long time. What's it going to be like squaring off on the sideline, at least in this capacity for the first time? I know you guys have played against each other throughout the years, but what's it going to be like in a Cat-Griz rivalry game?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be a little bit different than an exhibition game between a D3 opponent and a D1 opponent. Certainly, our fan bases are very passionate about, their institutions and their programs. And that all just makes for a really exciting experience for our players and our coaches alike. Travis and I go, way back. I met him, when I was probably 8 years old, when he played for my grandfather in high school. And then, he had our stories have crisscrossed throughout the basketball landscape since that point. He came back to Mercer Island and coached in our community and helped our program win a state championship when I was there. And so we have those memories together, which are certainly cherished. And then as two guys that have been coaching college basketball for about 20 years now, certainly that relationship and that relationship has evolved over the years as we've gone from different place to different place. And so it's funny how God works and kind of weaves things into our lives. But I know my grandfather will be really proud, smiling down on two of his former players. And there's nothing but respect, on my end for Travis and the job he's done, throughout his career and obviously at Montana speaks for itself. And it'll be a fun opportunity to compete in such a storied rivalry.
When you look at the Griz, what do you see?
Well, I think the first thing that you see is a whole lot of continuity, in their backcourt in particular. Guys like Brandon Whitney, who started for 4 years, and Josh Vasquez has played 135 games, and then Aanen Moody, who's just an elite shooter and been there now for a couple of years and very experienced in his own regard within college basketball. And then in the front court, Deshaun Taylor has kind of been an X factor for them as of late, really has picked up his performance in conference play. And so, I think the thing that stands out is they're a team that very much knows who they are and what their roles are. And that's something that, all of us are trying to hold on to and really highlight heading into January and February. And so that's, I think the biggest thing that stands out is just that continuity that they have from backcourt to coaching staff and front court as well.
Both these teams in this game have shot the ball well to really well at times this year. How big of a factor is that going to be, just limiting 3-point opportunities for them and cashing in on some yourself?
Yeah, I mean, Greg Popovich says it best. Basketball in many ways is a make or miss game. And as coaches, our job is to try to create advantages and we can hope to create as many great shots as possible. But ultimately, whether you're playing for a Big Sky championship or Cat-Griz, it's the players on the floor that make the difference. And you're going to see guys step up in a game like that and be prepared to make some big shots.
Keys for your team on Saturday against Montana?
Well, I think, the keys for us all year long have been just really staying connected on the defensive end of the floor, rebounding the basketball at a high level, which I think we've really improved at in recent games, recent weeks. And then taking care of the basketball, working to get great shots and not allowing turnovers to create, easy scoring opportunities in transition.
Matt Logie here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Coach, appreciate the time. Thanks so much, and best of luck this weekend.
Thanks a lot for having me. Go Cats.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road, pump it up, oh yeah.
Down at Delaware Arena with Aanen Moody, senior for the University of Montana. First of all, I saw you up there with good buddy Riley Corcoran, voice of the Griz. What's the smartest question he asked you?
Well, none of them are very smart when they come out of Riley's. I'm just kidding. He asked me how my birthday was.
Oh, good. Happy birthday.
It was smart because then I got to, talk to him about my personal life being a dad. I'm trying to encourage him to have some children, too. He just got married, so that was an intelligent question.
You gotta love it. I'm gonna need some dad advice too. I got one coming this week, sometime within the week. So yeah. So I saw one of your little boys running around at the game though. I mean, what's it like just having your family here watching you?
It's amazing. My dad tries to make every single game. My kids are at all the home games. My wife is here. It's just a different type of home environment. That you have all the fans that cheer for you, but when you have your family that cheers for you, it means something more. So.
Well, pretty cool. I know you got a chance to be at least kind of close to home a little while ago when you played in Fargo at NDSU. What was that like? I mean, you obviously liked the gym. You had a pretty good night.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I had 30 family members that came out to watch.
So you scored pretty much a point for each one of them, right?
Pretty much. That was the goal going into the game. No, it was amazing just to get a win back home. My brother played football there for 5 years and won 5 championships. And my sister played volleyball there for 5 years as well. I was going to go there. My dream was to go there, and I went to UND as a black sheep. So to then full circle come back to that same gym and have the performance that I had, plus the W, it was amazing.
Well, tell us about this last weekend. I know probably the last 4 minutes of Thursday night was disappointing for you guys, but then you got back on track in a big way Saturday. So just take us through that. What do you think went wrong Thursday night, and then how are you guys able to sort of right the ship quickly on Saturday?
Yeah, just complacency, I think, just getting too comfortable with the lead that we had. We should have, tried to push it out to 20 instead of being conservative and trying to, hold on tight to it. And sometimes when you try to hold on tight to things, you let them go. But we had to respond on Saturday, and that was what Friday and preparation earlier that day was all about, was just responding. And we came out. The scoreboard speaks for itself. So.
Did that feel? I mean, I know this day and age of college basketball, every team is like a new team every year. But the fact that those guys knocked you out last year, Northern Arizona did it feel pretty good to kind of get back at them?
Absolutely. That was part of the motivation going into the game. It's just that was the team that ended our season last year. So a lot of us are still on this program. So we had that bitter taste in our mouth from the result that happened last year. And we knew that we were just going to go in and knock them out.
Aanen Moody here on Nuanez, now ESPN Radio. Maybe you're watching on the Skyline Sports MT YouTube channel. Now you turn the page, it's rivalry week, so you've been a part of a variety of different rivalries throughout your life, but what's this one like? How do you feel when it gets to this week?
Oh yeah, this is by far the most intense rivalry that I've ever been a part of, and I love going into Bozeman, and I haven't won there yet, but the plan is to go and do that this year. So the first half last year, we came in there, we weren't ready for the environment, the defensive pressure, and the intensity. We had a lot of new guys that weren't really accustomed to the rivalry, but now I think we all get it. We have a lot of motivation going in, especially with the good momentum that we have from the NAU game. So it's going to be fun.
What's it like settling in there? I mean, because there's some intense environments in the Big Sky, but they're armed and ready, right? They got cutouts of your face. They're making fun of your haircut. They don't like your shoes. I mean, everything's up for grabs.
Yeah. They start early in warm-ups too, and not only do they not like your face or your shoes, they don't like your kids. They don't like your wife when it comes to me. So just preparing myself mentally for all that.
Is that sort of a motivator too, though? Because a lot of times athletes feed off of that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, don't say anything about my mom, my dad, my wife, or my kids. Otherwise, it's going to be a long game. So.
Well, when it just comes to the matchup, I know it's only Tuesday as we talk here today, so you probably just started diving into it. But I mean, any initial thoughts just on what Montana State does operationally?
Yeah, I mean, they have a couple guys that are back from last year. Robert Ford, they got some new guys, and they've seemed to found a little bit of a rhythm together. We've watched a couple games as a team, and they're playing good basketball right now, but we hope to make an end to it.
They like to spread the floor a lot, shoot it pretty good too. So I mean, is that something you guys are on high alert for?
Oh yeah, we're one of the best teams at taking away the three-point line in the conference, so that's definitely going to be something that we're going to do against Montana State as well.
Offensively, where do you think you guys have grown? It seems like Brandon Whitney being at the helm has been he seems like he's settled in pretty well these last couple weeks.
Oh yeah, just having more options, with Deshaun and Brandon, even Josh, anybody can get 20 a night, and I think that's really dangerous when you go into a game and you have to scout a team like us where 4 guys can come and get you 20, and then there's a lot of Logie on the inside as well. So, it's just going to be tough for anybody that plays us.
One thing I talked with Trav about last week, everybody knows Deshaun Thomas can shoot it. He's a great stretch player, but when he rebounds like he has the last couple weeks, how big of a difference does that make for you guys?
Amazing, amazing. I think he has the 4 double-doubles in a row, right? And the first player to do that since Brian Qualley, former North Dakotan. So anytime you're in a conversation with him, you're doing something good. And, we're a completely different team when he rebounds the ball and he scores the ball like that. So, we just hope that he keeps doing it.
Win in Bozeman, what sort of momentum do you think that could give you guys going forward?
The momentum that we need, non-conference, we had a couple win streaks, and we're just trying to make another one, right? So one game at a time, but we're just trying to pile them up. So, getting a good win at Montana State will propel us into Weber, and then if we can have a good, 2 games right there, we'll be in a good position for the rest of the conference.
Thanks for doing it, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
At Blackfoot Communications, our mission is to connect people, businesses, and communities, bringing a world-class fiber network to homes, communities, and businesses of all sizes, ensures Montanans have access to fast, reliable, and secure internet and phone services. Are you ready for fiber internet? To find out if fiber is coming to your area, visit goblackfoot.com/readyforfiber. Connect to more with Blackfoot Communications.
Continues, and now we're in a rivalry week. Montana State hosts Montana on Saturday night. Brick Breedin Fieldhouse, part of a doubleheader there in Bozeman. We're joined now by one of the familiar faces on an otherwise kind of brand new Montana State team. It's Robert Ford III joining us here on Nuanez now. Robert, thanks for joining us, man. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
First of all, just tell us about that dynamic. Danny Sprinkle leaves in the offseason. I know a beloved coach, and you guys won a lot of games under him, and then a whole bunch of the rest of the team leaves, but that you decided to stay. So take us through the decision, and also what's it been like just sort of acclimating to all the new faces, all your new teammates?
Going through the process was tough. We didn't know who was going to coach, who was going to be here, who, what to think really, all of us as a team. In that aspect, I thought it was best for me to, put my name, out there to see what my options were, because I didn't know what was going on. And going through the process, this place has felt like home. Montana State is runs in my blood. So being able to come back and Logie allowing me to come back and telling me that he wants me to be here and he believes in me was a really good thing. They made it feel like family here. So that was the biggest thing on that part of it. And what was the other question you asked again?
Just sort of coming together with this new group of guys. It seems like you guys have meshed pretty quickly. It seems like you guys are playing pretty well together, even though you only have 14, 15 games under your belt so far.
And talking about that, I think that comes from us as a team outside. Being on the court, being able to hang out, be around each other, have fun, and enjoy each other. Really build like a brotherhood. So once we come on the court, we understand it's business, and we joke around here and there, but we understand that. It's a business, and we're here to do a job, but also at the same time have fun and do all the things that we want to do as a team.
Tell us about last weekend. I thought you had a great weekend, especially yourself individually, but also as a team, and that was a big win over Northern Colorado on Saturday night. So how are you guys able to get that thing done, and what did you think of just the performance overall last weekend?
I think we played really well. Shot it really well. We defended really well. Those are, 2 good teams. We were able to, I feel like what helped us that weekend was defense. We harped after, going and playing in the Summit, we harped on defense, and we really, our coaches really cracked down on that and, installing that in our brains. And I feel like, that was one thing that got our offensive side of going. We played, as you can see, we played in transition faster. We played, very well with one another and giving it up and, understanding that, okay, we trust each other. And doing that, it helped us, put a lot of points up, but also helped us defend and, be a good all-around team.
Robert Ford III joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. One part about your game that seems like has really involved and improved is the rebounding part. So tell me about that. I mean, you're getting all kinds of boards, which is I'm sure a huge boost to your team, especially from the point guard spot.
Yeah, I mean, for me, growing up, I've always done that, and being able to, get back to that this year and help my team any way I can is really where my mind is at. So, every night going out, I just, try to help in any, aspect I can.
It seems like you guys like to get up and down and play fast pace. So when you're the one that gets the rebound, how much does that help you, especially with like the extended transitions, the extended fast break stuff you guys do?
I feel like once I get it, similar to some of the, pros you see, once you get off the rebound, you can just push right away. And that helps our team, get in transition, help them get to their spots to, be ready to shoot when, I early the ball up. And, also helps to when I push and I get in that paint to look and be able to hit people because of how much defense I'm, drawing.
Let's talk about the rivalry then. When you first turn the page, what do you think? I mean, what comes to your mind first and foremost when you think about the Griz coming to town?
I mean, after being here for a year, I understand how big the game is for the community and also us as a program. And coming into it, they're a really good team. So coming out and understanding that it's going to be a good environment, it's going to be a lot of good basketball. But I think the one thing we harped on so far was it's going to be really physical, and understanding that, and you may not get any calls in in a period of time, and not to get upset or angry with the refs, but just to play.
Well, the point guard matchup should be a fun one. You've been around the league for a long time. Brandon Whitney's been around the league for a long time as well. So just break that part down for us.
Yeah, he's a really good player. He's playing really well this year. I think it'll be a really good meeting. And they have a lot of good guys around him. So I mean, I think they're a really good team, and coming in, we're just gonna harp on our scout and things that our coach believes, and we believe that will help us win.
Well, I know it's only Tuesday as we talk here, but any initial thoughts just on the tendencies or what you've seen out of Montana so far?
Just looking in, like we've been saying, they've been shooting it really well. A lot of the players are playing really good. They're a really good team. So coming into it, you're just gonna, do our, what our principles are, and we're gonna, go out and execute our plan.
Well, there's gonna be so much hype leading into it. It's gonna be one of the biggest crowds of the year. There's all that stuff, and it's obviously the rivalry game, but it's also, I mean, you're gonna get another shot at these guys. It's a one in whatever 20 Big Sky games. So how do you sort of balance those, sort of the importance of it, but also realizing it kind of is just one in a string of many Big Sky Conference games?
Yeah, like we understand that it's just one of many, but I think as a team we take each game to say one at a time, and understanding that, all right, we got to get through this game and play and be us, and at the end of that's that score, okay, we'll go from there. But I think we take each game and we don't take it for granted. We play knowing that there's something on the line.
Keys for Montana State then, with the Griz coming to town? Keys for you guys on Saturday night?
Just being tough, playing hard, and coming into it with a focused mindset. Like I said, they're a really good team, and props to them. But we have to come into and be really gritty and fight to have a good night.
Robert for the third here on ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for joining us, man, and best of luck on Saturday night.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk soon. See ya.
Thanks, Colter. Hey, the track audio in the background, that wasn't a problem, right?
Nope. Couldn't hear it at all. So all good.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds
Thanks.
good.
Yep. See ya.
See ya.